Welcome to Mind Over Money, the podcast that helps Australians have finances that work. And it all starts with our thinking. I'm your host, Lachy Nicolson, and I'm joined by Tim Evans. G'day, Tim.
How's it going, Lachy?
Okay, today we're talking about habits and how we can create good habits that put more money back in our pocket. Sounds good? Stick around. Tim's giving me the thumbs up.
Which is great for a podcast.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had to make some big or drastic change in your life? A complete 180. Maybe it was around your health or your career or your relationships or your finances. The small and daily decisions that we make have a compounding effect, whether we realize it or not. The question is, are those decisions positive or negative? So today we're talking about the power of habits. And habits are the small decisions that you and I make and the actions that we take every day, sometimes without even noticing it. Steve Jobs, on his 30th birthday, sent out this letter with an old Hindu adage in it that went something like this. For the first 30 years of your life, you make your habits. For the last 30 years of your life, your habits make you. Now, we want to work and definitely live beyond 60. But I think the point Steve was making here was that forming good habits, especially early in your life, will really determine the quality of your life. Tim, how do you see habits?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And our everyday choices really have a big effect on our futures. And really what we do every day and what we repeat is who we become in the future. So I'm really excited that we're talking about habits, especially in our finances, because they not only affect the quality of our life and our finances, but also the person who we become.
So buying that cherry ripe wasn't a good idea, hey, Tim?
I can't comment on that, but there's a saying, I think it's John Maxwell who said it, but the best way to predict the future is to create it. And what I really love about habits or daily decisions or whatever you want to call it is that it gives us the power so that we can take actions to really create the future, and what we can repeat good decisions, and that can compound into great success in the future. And I guess we all want that in our lives. Everybody I think wants to be successful, and this is a great tool that we can use to become just that.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. Yeah, I think we know what bad habits are. Living off credit cards could be an example. Shopping to feel good, probably not a good habit. Just spending more than you make in general. Those I think are kind of obvious bad habits. And so what we want to do today is just focus on some good, practical, maybe some new habits for some of you guys that can actually replace the bad habits. So these are 5 simple daily habits that can help us grow our money and live a great life. Tim, kick it off. What is number 1?
Sure. Number 1 is check your bank account every day. Okay. So obviously not exactly that, but it's the feeling behind this. It's making sure we know what's happening with our finances. That's the essence of this, and creating a habit where you're regularly checking what's happening with your finance really helps you know where you're at, and it can help stop you from overspending, maybe getting really, really stressed about your finances because you're not really knowing what's going on, and avoiding checking it is always not helping you know what's happening in your finances. So rather than just assuming and relying on those assumptions, when we begin to check our bank account, know where our finances are at, we get to know what's actually happening, what's happening in reality, not in our make-believe world, in our hopes and dreams. And we think, oh, my bank account is so full. But we actually say, okay, this is what's happening, and this is maybe what I need to do to change that.
Yeah, that's a really easy, simple habit. It's sometimes one that we do avoid. And I guess when we're avoiding checking our bank accounts every day, we have to kind of ask, are we actually avoiding our finances?
Yeah, exactly. So Waymaker, that's a big part of what we do with members, is especially in the early days, is we help set up a cash flow system that works in a banking app. And part of it is not just a spreadsheet, but it's the reason for it is so that you can understand where you're at in the moment. And sometimes it isn't the most beautiful picture. and that's okay. And that's okay. That's why we're talking through it. And then when we manage it every day, we've seen a lot of members begin to improve and understand. Once they understand where they're at, they begin to make changes themselves and see, okay, this is what I can do. And now I'm informed, okay, this is why I've been overspending. Wow, I've been spending so much on eating out. This is crazy. I didn't even realize, like, it seems like a small amount, but it's like, okay, then we can start to make steps to put that finance into areas that they're really passionate about or really excited about.
Yeah, it's about operating within that reality. Once you have that real picture of your situation, you can start to make those changes. And the key is making them daily. It's so much easier to make small incremental changes each day with your daily cash flow than it is to get 6 or 12 months down the track and find yourself in a world of pain, and you're having to make huge decisions, huge changes to get back on track to where you want to be.
Yeah, and I've recently got really into Formula One. That's a new addiction recently, and I like it because it can be simple, but also it's very complicated in the different setups of the cars, and there's a lot of different ways how they choose drivers and get the best performance out of their cars.
It's kind of like finances. It's simple but complicated.
Oh yes, exactly. Well, simple for me. I don't think it's simple on their side in F1. But what I think is so interesting is that they really need to know the scoreboard. They need to know the times that the drivers are putting in, what's happening with the car. They need to know all the details, and then they can make decisions. And that's what looking at our finances is really. We're looking at the reality, like you said, of the situation, and then we can make decisions in real time. And if we're not looking at it, we don't know the scoreboard. And it's kind of like, how do you know? Okay, and maybe in another sport, in football, it's like, okay, do we play more offensively? Do we play more defensively? Do we need to tighten things up now? And looking at our bank accounts is how we make those decisions in our finances.
I love that. Okay, it's a good habit. I think, so if you've been avoiding your finances, I guess the encouragement is to stop avoiding the finances. Check in with your bank account on a daily basis so you can stay engaged in your cash flow and find ways to improve that cash flow.
Yeah. That's great. There's a saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
I love that.
That really fits in with our finances.
Yeah, it's so true. Okay, so check in with your bank account every day. Know the scoreboard. Number 2 is to allocate your money. So allocating money, I mean, it's often sort of something that we might do once and then set and forget. But actually, we found in life, nothing really is 100% set and forget. Things change, and so we have to keep adjusting as we go. So allocating money, it's really important. It's about being proactive. It's about, telling our money where to go according to the plan. And allocating means we're actually determining what amount of money can be spent on certain things before we spend it. For example, you might allocate a certain amount of money towards your home loan and you don't spend that money or withdraw that money. You might allocate money to being generous or to long-term investments, the things that you value, and therefore you want to prioritize and plan those things ahead. You want to allocate money to them. Now, the big things, they might not change too much, a few tweaks here and there. But what does change more often is our living costs and our lifestyle goals. Things like saving for a holiday or maybe saving towards a car. These things can change seasonally. And it's in these changes we need to reallocate and adjust things. And that's the benefit of having a cash flow system, right? Is we can reallocate and adjust things as we go. And so you can have that conversation with yourself, your advocate, or your partner, your spouse, and make those changes. But remember, something has to give. So if you're suddenly saving for a holiday, you might have to halve your dining out or your hobbies for a season to get that money flowing and moving towards that holiday. The whole idea for allocating is that we're telling our money where to go in a proactive way instead of just spending the money and then later on wondering, where did it go? I don't have money for bills anymore because I've spent the money somewhere else. So we want to avoid that. And one of the keys to this is we can actually leverage automation. So allocation and automation go together really well. So by setting up automatic transfers, automatic direct debits for our goals, for our bills, it just means that we won't forget to allocate the money and we can still check in on things and adjust as we go.
I love that. That's a great plan. And I think that word automation, maybe it sounds like it's not a habit, but that's what our brain does when we literally learning something new. Like our brain is just organizing and automating. If you drive your car without thinking, because your brain at one point it was effort to learn and to implement, and now it's just automated. And I think it's great that we can do that with our finances, and we can use different applications these days just to make it so easy. So that's a great point. And I like that you don't have to give up everything. You can keep your hobbies, but you maybe have to give up something depending on the season, and look through that. So I think that is great. You got to think through what's the priority.
Yeah, definitely. In the cash flow system, we want to gamify certain things, but not other things. So we want to set up bills and automate those things so they get paid on time. But then, for save goals, we want to gamify that, and we actually want to have automatic allocations towards money, but also we want to be able to move money around as we're purchasing those goals or allocating money into different areas of spending, because in the process of allocating the money, as you move money across, it really connects you to the money that you're about to spend, or the money that you're saving. And your brain, again, like the point number one is we want to operate in reality. We want to feel the pain when we spend money, because that's a good thing. And then we actually are calculating the costs, and our brain is going through a process of really going, oh, wow, is this how much money I want to spend on this thing? Yes, no, maybe not, and so that's a good thing, to be operating in reality. And so I guess if we don't have any allocations or automations in our finances at the moment, that's probably a sign that we're just relying on feelings or ad hoc motivation instead of actually having a plan. And so our encouragement would be to create a plan, to implement that plan with a cash flow system, and actually start introducing allocations and automations to your money. So if you make that a habit, your money will grow a lot faster.
I love it. Okay, so on to habit number 3. It's pretty simple. We just put this as say thank you. So obviously
Thanks,
that's
Tim.
just thanks, Lachy. Obviously, it's just the habit of being grateful. And maybe this sounds so simple, but probably we all know it's not always the easiest thing to implement. But this is a habit, to choose gratefulness. And it makes us really value what we have in our lives. And I know we talked about this recently about comparison and the antidote to that. But this is a great keystone habit to implement, just being grateful for what we have. And I think this overflows into so many different areas of life. Like I know when I wake up and I'm grateful, like that puts me in a positive mood. People I talk to, I have a different kind of vibe to me. And the opposite is also true. When I'm not grateful, and maybe I wake up and I'm like, oh, I wish I had this, wish I had that. Oh, I go to work and that, my boss feels that vibe. Oh, just a bit upset at the world. And I think being grateful just helps, compound that success as well. It overflows into your marriage, into your work relationships, because you're kind of bobbing around just thankful about what you have. So I think this is just a great habit to develop, and probably something we need to be mindful of every day, because all of us can slip out of this habit very easily.
Yeah, the old saying, the grass is greener where you water it. And I do think people also gravitate towards people who have that spirit of gratitude. So something we want to be cultivating every day in our lives. Habit number 4 is filter the marketing noise. So we get dozens of emails from a day from retailers, airlines. What else I got in here? I'm just looking through my phone. Phone companies, Amazon. Yeah, the list goes on. So, all these different companies, they're all trying to sell us something, get us to upgrade to something. And even if we don't respond to these kind of emails, it's noise, and it depletes our energy, which we only have a finite amount of energy every single day. And we need that energy to make good decisions. So I guess the habit here is to create filters to protect our focus. Because if we keep getting distracted from our work or our family time or whatever it is, by these unimportant marketing messages, one thing is for sure, we're going to lose money. And I say create a filter because I think, an email is one obvious area of this. And so I actually create a filter called promotions. I set rules to move all of my marketing junk into that folder. It skips my inbox altogether. I can check it when I want to check it, but it ain't urgent. Now for you might want to set up a label that says something like spend money or distractions or everything else, because that's what it is. It's not important. It's a sales pitch. And of course, this applies to more than just emails. We want to create some kind of filters, some kind of space in every area of our life to process all of the noise that's coming in and really make sure that only the priorities is what we're focusing on. Now, that could just be as simple as getting off Instagram or shopping apps before we go to bed. So setting up a rule around how we use our phone. There's lots of different ways we can filter those distractions, especially when it comes to those sales and marketing offers. So if you don't have a filter, someone else is getting all of your time and money, and we don't want that. We want to add in healthy boundaries, healthy filters in our lives, so that we have more time and more money.
That's so good. I think that's so practical, and that's challenging for me. Putting a filter before bedtime. I'm gonna not look at my phone before bed. Bring it on, Lachy. Good.
That's a good one. We all need to do. All right. What's number 5, Tim?
Okay. Last one. Always go over time with you, Lachy. Let's go. Last one is think outside the box. So maybe this is a little bit of a different kind of habit, but I think this could be really powerful in the mindset of how we view problems, that we have coming up in our lives, financial problems in this case, and how we approach those. And thinking outside the box, we can find interesting and creative solutions to problems. And for me, that's exciting.
Yeah, I think this is really about getting outside the binary thinking. Like there's always one or two options when actually there could be many, many other options. Yes. So what's the kind of question that we'd want to be asking ourselves here, Tim?
I guess a good question would be, is there a better way? Or is there another way? So if we're faced by a decision and it does seem binary, it's like, is there kind of a left field way? So for example, if I need to buy this product, and there's, which type, which model, and but all the options are actually outside of your budget. It's like, okay, probably you shouldn't be doing this, or you can find a better way, a different way. And that pressure can often push us to find creative solutions that can save us a lot.
Maybe we can borrow it or rent the product or get it secondhand or, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I always think about cars. We live in Australia. Australia's huge. We need cars. But maybe you don't need the SUV, or you were saying this earlier, like, Lachy, we don't need the ute.
We know someone who bought a ute just to move house. And my first question was, why don't you just rent a ute? Instead of buying a ute that you're going to use 1 weekend of the year.
Well, this is where good friends or an advocate or someone that sometimes asks you, sometimes you don't, when you're in the problem, you can't really see. But when you have someone like an advocate who says, why did you do it like that? And you go, didn't really think about that. I just thought that's what I was supposed to do. It's so helpful. That's a great question.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think whether it's, changing cars or buying a home or going on a holiday, changing your career, starting a business. Yeah. There's so many different things that we encounter, but we hear stories all the time from our members about how they're able to think outside the box and just find different and better ways to achieve things. Just getting outside of that, it's either this or that, the binary thinking. There's always another way. And sometimes that way is better than the choices that we have. So salesmen love to make it binary. They love to just go, it's either this or this. Yep. And if you go for a test drive in a car, it's you'll find that the hard way. There's never that third option to back out or do something else. It's either, you buy it this way or you buy it that way. And so what we want to do is just get outside the box and really think about things creatively. And find those creative solutions to problems.
That's so true. That's good. Yeah, marketing is like, made this into a fine art of making a decision. You want the red one or the blue one? Not you probably shouldn't have either.
Yeah.
But it's like, which one do you want? That's so true. This habit of thinking outside the box kind of connects it all, because if we look at the reality of our situation, we're keeping track of our finances, then we like, okay, actually, this is what I can really spend on this thing. And then you have to get creative and you have to find solutions. And I think this is such a powerful way to like live life. And it's fun when you talk about gamify. This is really gamifying how we spend our money.
Hey, there you go. 5 habits we can adopt and build upon to grow our money every day. Let's recap them. So we had check your bank account every day. So keep tabs on things, on reality. Number 2 was allocate your money and also use automation with that. Number 3 was to say thank you. A nice, simple one, just to remember and to practice gratitude every day. Number 4 was to filter out the marketing noise. And number 5 was to think outside the box. Ask, is there a better way? And find those creative solutions.
Yeah, nice work. And if you want to add to this list, obviously this is not the definitive list of keystone habits for your finance. We'd love to hear your comments. Maybe we'll make a podcast about that as well. So let us know by commenting on Instagram or Facebook, or you can send us an email. So if you go to at Waymaker Finance or just on Google, and all the links are in the show notes to all of our different profiles. So we would love to hear from you. It is very encouraging as well to hear from people listening to the podcast. So yeah, thank you. Just the last thing I wanted to mention is if you're struggling, like sticking to a habit or creating a habit, let's always go back. Just a great thing to remember is go back to the why. That's where the motivation all comes from. So if it's a big habit, maybe you want to pay off your mortgage faster. That's a big deal. And you're going to have less financial freedom in that case for a short season. It's coming back to, okay, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for the long-term thing, and coming back to the reason why is so that's where all the motivation comes from. So just let's always be thinking back to the why. And I think that gives us encouragement. It gives us resilience and strength to follow through with those big decisions in our finances.
Yeah, definitely. As we're creating these habits, and we're going through them each day, we can lose sight of why we're doing what we're doing. So whenever we do feel like when habits aren't sticking, just come back to the motivations and test that motivation. Why am I doing this? And if it's not important, drop it. But if it is important, you go, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do want to pay the home off. I want to have that paycheck to be mine. I want that financial freedom that comes with it. Then stick with the habit. And that'll keep encouraging you to keep going when the going gets tough. And yeah, that resilience it strengthens you and your finances. Okay, well, thanks for listening to Mind Over Money, presented by Waymaker, where we're on a mission to help Australians have finances that work. To learn more about that or connect with one of our wealth advocates or mortgage brokers, you can head to waymakerfinance.com.au. And remember, everything we've discussed today is for education purposes only, and it is not financial advice. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Lachy.
Have a great week.